What is the future size range of Hargraves yachts? Hopefully not any bigger. Believe it or not, we fight that. When we designed this company, we designed it to start at 70 feet and run to 135 feet. And the reason we did that is we want to be there when the customer first buys a yacht and realizes, I may need somebody to help me. And that's where captains first normally start getting involved in the owner's life. And we start at 70 and we run up to 135 because in that bandwidth, we think it's still a good option for the owner to manage the boat himself. When you start going up to 150, 180, 200, that's delusional. You need an entire staff. You need mavens, gurus, lawyers, accountants, whatever that whole organizational structure is that happens to be in place. That's the right answer. If you said to me, Mike, I'd like you to manage my 200 or 300 footer, I've done that before. It's the wrong answer. You need the support that comes with it. So our niche is working with the owner in that window where he first encounters crew, and then we take him to the outer edge of that envelope where all of a sudden he goes, I'm thinking of a bigger boat. At that point, we just put our broker hat on and say, listen, if you want a bigger boat, fine. But in the meantime, you need to follow the way the industry is organized and use the resources that are out there. And from a captain's point of view and a broker too, I think one of the things we recognize more than most people, Jack Hargraves started as a captain. And in all the time I knew him and when I worked for him, he understood and verbalized what the captain goes through. He said, never forget that the captain lives with our mistakes. And I thought, boy, isn't that the truth? And so in our company, when a captain calls our company, no matter where he is or how upset he is, everybody in this entire company, upstairs, downstairs, down at that end, they all know stop what you're doing because that guy is with the customer, and whatever that captain needs, he needs it now, not next week, not next month, not I'll get back to you. Make things happen now. And if you want to talk to some captains, we got plenty of them that'll tell you, whether you're cruising on the East Coast, West Coast, if you're in Mexico, we've supported boats in Europe, we've supported them in Australia. I had a guy in Seattle. He said to me, he said, you know, we really debated about buying a boat from you on the East Coast. And he said, I told Mother, boy, it's a good thing we bought it from those guys because we know what kind of service we were going to get from these guys. So I think you'll find that the service commitment and the response, if you're a captain, is probably as good as you'll find anywhere in the world because we understand what the captain goes through. And the only way that the owner is going to have a great experience is if the captain is able to do what he has to do. I remind people, they say, well, I'm thinking of this boat, that boat, and I'm looking at this boat. What do you think of this boat? And we sell a lot of boats besides ours, and we take them in trade too, so I got some opinions on what I like. But what I tell people is, I said, the reality is your experience, your happiness is going to have nothing to do with the boat, almost this much. And it's going to have everything to do with the crew. Because what you'll find is that you can take a B boat and put on an A crew, and the guy thinks he's got the greatest yacht in the world. And you take the finest yacht in the world and put a C-level crew on it, he's going to go, how did I wind up with this piece of doggy-doo? The reality is, people say, I'm looking at this. I say, who's going to run this thing? They go, well, I hadn't thought about it. I said, you ought to start there, because it's not that you have to hire the captain in advance, but everything you do in this niche from 70 to 135, you better be paying close attention to who's going to run this boat, because that's where your happiness is. And we know it. And the good news is, when you find a guy, tell him whatever it takes we're going to do to help him. So that's our niche, 70, 135. Hope it works for you.